What's up, entrepreneurs? You have the solution to a problem, but if the people who need that solution still aren't buying, it's because they don't believe you. So how can you get your ideal customers to believe you, buy what you're offering, and improve their lives? First, everybody has false beliefs wrapped in limiting stories, and the only way to break those false beliefs is by wrapping the truth in a better story. And the way to do that is through story hacking. Story hackers take the most powerful stories from the past, hack the formulas, and apply it to their businesses for profits and impact. I'm Dave Anderson, and my goal is to turn every funnel hacker and every entrepreneur into an expert storyteller using the power of story hacking. That's what this podcast is all about. And remember, guys, your story isn't finished. Hey guys, okay, today we're going to talk about what makes life meaningful. And once you know that and have a vision for your life, how you can then make a bargain with the future to make that vision into reality. I know this might sound weird right now, but it'll all make sense very soon. We're also going to talk about how you can make sure life is happening for you and not just to you, and a lot more. So let's get into it. In the book of Proverbs, it says, without a vision, the people perish. People need a purpose to pursue in life in order for their life to be meaningful. Because if you don't have a vision for your life, basically your story is not your own. That means someone else will decide your vision for you, making you a bit player in their story. You'll miss out on your destiny and you will perish, even if you're still walking and talking. Obviously, that's not God's plan for you. But you do have free will. Just because you have the perfect path laid out in front of you, that doesn't mean you're going to be forced to take it. You do have free will, but you only have two choices to choose from. Choice number one is sacrifice short-term pleasure for long-term gain. And choice number two is do nothing. But doing nothing is also a sacrifice because you're sacrificing long-term gain for short-term pleasure. Because leisure is just immediate, low-resolution pleasure. So the question is low-resolution pleasure really worth your future? Are you willing to sacrifice your health, your wealth, your legacy, your contribution to your family, your contribution to your community and the world just for that? For fast food, Netflix, TV, scrolling on social media, for breaking news headlines every 15 minutes? When you do those things in the present moment, you're sacrificing your future. You see, you're going to make a sacrifice either way. But to the extent that you're willing to sacrifice short-term pleasure, you can have something much better in the future. You know, Grant Cardone is a famous entrepreneur. He built a $750 million empire. He's on his way to being a billionaire. He's all over the internet if you've seen him. He's all over Instagram. He's flying around on a Gulfstream jet. He's making real estate deals all around the world. He puts on the biggest marketing events every year in stadiums. Last year, I think it was in Miami. And he drives around in Rolls Royces. But he started out as a broke car salesman, and he hated it. But he wanted to get better at sales, so he sacrificed all of his free time. He sacrificed his weekends, partying. He even sacrificed trying to get a better job so he could learn sales, because he wanted to become his own boss. He wanted to get better at sales so he could help other people do the same thing. Then when he started making a little bit of money from that, he started investing in real estate. But it took sacrifice. He came in early and he left late, even though he hated it, because he had a vision. Compared to what he has now, those sacrifices, they seem petty. But they don't seem petty at the time. I know that. I'm sure you know that too. You know, it's the same for everybody. The sacrifices you have to make now are nothing compared to the rewards you will get later, even though they seem like they are. It seems like you're not having as much fun. It seems like you're not enjoying the present moment as much when you're making some kind of sacrifice. You know, Grant almost died of drug addiction. He lacked commitment to anything. And he was basically, in his own words, he was headed towards death or jail. Then he decided to sacrifice short-term pleasure for long-term legacy. That's the trade-off we can make. I mean, isn't that an amazing trade? Stop wasting time, and in return, you can have a legacy. Repeat after me. I will stop wasting time, and in return, I will have a legacy. I will stop wasting time, and in return, I will have a legacy. There's a 3-minute video by Jordan Peterson on YouTube. I think it's called How to Bargain with the Future. Everybody should watch that. And in the video, he explains that you can actually bargain with the future. And you're really bargaining with society, because when you give value first, the world around you gives you value back in return. You can give up some small pleasure today so you can get the advantage and something better tomorrow. That's basically the concept of work. You sow the seeds now so you can reap the harvest later. But when you're working a 9-to-5 job, you're making somebody else rich. You can make the same sacrifices for yourself and get a much bigger return on your investment. But it's up to you. One way is easy and lazy and stupid because the price is too high. The other way, it requires a little bit of effort, but the return on investment can be incredible. Just imagine if you wake up in the morning and you say, today I'm going to make all good decisions to the best of my ability. Imagine how that would transform your life after a few months. Imagine how that would transform your life after a year of doing that. I just want you to think about the possibility. I'm not saying that it's easy, but it's something that we should all try to do. Don't you agree? And it's something we should encourage each other to do, even if we're not perfect. I mean, I'm reminding myself right now just as much as I'm reminding you. So here's the easy way to do this. Always think about your life as a story that you're writing, because it is and you are. Carl Jung, the famous psychoanalyst, he said, everyone is living out a story, but it's up to you to figure out which one it is. So just keep asking yourself, what would the hero do right now? What would the hero do right now? Always keep that question in your mind. If you were watching a movie and every time the main character woke up in the morning, they grabbed their phone and started scrolling through Instagram, what would you think? What would you think when you're watching that movie and that's what the main character keeps doing? What if they were always late? What if they didn't keep their commitments? What if they had small goals? What if they kept giving up on their dreams and changing their mind every time an obstacle came their way? You'd be thinking, this is not going to go well. This person needs to get their bleepity bleep together. You would just be waiting for reality to smack this person in the face a few times so they would wake up and get back on the path. The path is the hero's journey, because the hero's journey is just the story of success. If you're not on that path, then you're on the wrong path. Are you guys getting this? Remember this. Life happens to us until we become the hero of our own story. Life happens through us when we help others do the same. And life happens for us when we believe we are worthy of receiving great value in return. Let me repeat that. Life happens to us until we become the hero of our own story. Life happens through us when we help others do the same. And life happens for us when we believe we are worthy of receiving great value in return for the value that we're giving. Maybe you're feeling down right now. Maybe things aren't going good. That means there's something you don't know. That means there's something or some things you need to learn. And sometimes it takes pain to make you realize that. Pain beats you down so your life's vision can lift you up. If you're down, look for your vision. Don't worry about how you're going to get back up. Let go of the how and just say yes to whatever opportunity comes when you're in that position. Let the universe help you in whatever way it wants to. The universe is wiser than you. God is wiser than you. Your higher self is wiser than you. Just about anything and anyone in a position to help you is wiser in some way, obviously. Otherwise, they'd be in need of your help and not the other way around. I hope you guys are picking up what I'm putting down. Say yes out loud if you're getting this. I want to feel some yeses. So when you're at rock bottom, that's actually good, because that's the solid foundation for you to stand back up. And everybody loves a comeback story, so why not create one for yourself right now? If you're on rock bottom right now, stand up and ask yourself, how can I help others? How can I make the world better? What problem can I solve for the most people? On New Year's Eve in 2019, Garrett Camp spent $800 hiring a private car for him and his friends. They didn't want to stand on a corner waving and competing for taxis and then negotiating about where they wanted to go. Maybe some of them would have to take a separate taxi if it wasn't in the same area. But he was like, this price is ridiculous. Nobody should have to pay this just for somebody to drive us around. Lots of people drive and own cars. So why should anybody have to pay $800? That question led to the creation of Uber, which is now a $72 billion company. And this is the big secret. When you can look beyond yourself, everything starts to open up. How can I help others? That's the magic question. How can I help the most people? You're trying to figure out how you can get what you want. But you can't get what you want. It has to be given to you. And the only way the world gives you what you want, the only way life returns value to you is if you give value first. So think about what problem you can solve and what value you can give, and then start telling that story. You need to become an expert storyteller. You need to start becoming an expert storyteller. And all I mean by that is just start doing it. Living according to theory is for amateurs, but putting theory into practice is expertise, and practice makes perfect. Actually, let me rephrase that. Perfect practice makes perfect. So you do need to acquire the knowledge, and you're here, so we have that covered. Next, you need to put the theory into practice. So share this information with other people. Talk about it. Don't just copy paste it. I'm talking about share it. Talk about it with other people. Tell people what you were struggling with before you learned this information. Then tell them the realization you had while you listened to the podcast. Then tell them your plan going forward. If you're talking to somebody who has the same problems that you have, the same doubts and fears, they'll come to the same realization you came to. Then they'll want to make a plan to move forward just like you did. That's how storytelling works. And that's why it's so powerful for your business. You tell people about people just like them with the same doubts and fears who came to a realization. That's how you get people to come to the same realization that you came to. The realization is a new belief. But you can't tell people what to believe. They have to feel it in their emotions. And only story communicates on an emotional level. So what I want you guys to do is put the theory into practice. Tell somebody about the new realization you got from this podcast. Don't tell them what to believe, but see if you can get them to come to the same realization you came to so they can improve their life. And once you can do that, you're more than just an expert storyteller. You're a story hacker. So, in summary, you have to have a vision. That means there has to be some problem that you're passionate about solving for other people. Number 2, you need to bargain with the future by sacrificing short-term pleasure for long-term legacy. And you need to make sure life is happening for you and through you, not to you, by always asking yourself the magic question, what would the hero do? And then do that. And after you do that, you need to help others become the hero of their own story. It doesn't matter what problem you're solving as long as it's a real problem that you're passionate about solving. Because when you help another person solve their problems, you give them more time that they can devote to their relationships, their health, and their wealth. Tell stories about that so you can turn your ideal customers into believers and those believers into buyers. That's how you'll help your customers solve their problems and improve their life. What's up, guys? First, I just want to say that I read every single 5-star review. So the biggest favor you can do for me right now is go to iTunes and review this podcast. 5-star reviews tell Apple they should show this podcast to other entrepreneurs just like you. And when you spread story hacking, you're spreading solutions that are making the world better. This is something I want us to do together as story hackers. So go to iTunes and tell me how story hacking is improving your business and your life. And one more thing, I want you to ask me your number one question about this podcast episode or any other episode. You can even leave me a voice message question and I'll play it on the podcast and give you a shout out. That way everybody can know you're a story hacker and a real part of this community. So go ahead and check the link in the description for that. So thanks so much for the reviews, guys, and keep a lookout for your shout out when I play your question on the podcast. And remember, guys, your story isn't finished.